The Kingdom of Life and Lies by Kino Ren. Prologue.
In the world of Amrak, life ore is a mineral more precious than even gold. A shiny, clear crystal, the ore cannot be used by just anyone. Only a select few, born with purple hair, amongst the 5 kingdoms of Amrak, can unlock the ore's true power. When it was first discovered, many wondered what to call the ones who could wield life ore's power. Some called them angels, others called them witches, but the name finally settled upon in the 5 kingdoms was the name biomage. Although the biomages rarely used their spells for direct combat, their skills were no less valuable to the kingdoms they served in. With the chant of a spell, a biomage could alter any part of a human's, animal's, or other living being's body. If a man had a broken leg, a biomage could simply chant "heal" while holding an ounce of life or crystal in one hand, his other on the man's leg, and magically the leg would be as good as new, while the crystal disappeared. If a biomage chants "cure" while holding an ounce of life or crystal in one hand, and touched a man suffering from a cold with the other, the man's cold would go away in seconds. But life ore is not found naturally, just anywhere within the kingdoms. In fact, there is only one place it can be found: the hidden mines of the smallest of the 5 kingdoms of Amrak, the mountainous kingdom of Wolan. And although many call life ore's existence a miracle in itself, with every miracle there is a price. For years, the 5 kingdoms fought over the supply of life ore. Kings who wanted immortality, merchants who wished to make a fortune, nobles whose family members had otherwise incurable diseases, and everyone else wanted as much life ore as possible for themselves. The more life ore, the more power. But the true power of life ore could only be held by biomages themselves. When they say biomages could alter any part of a human's body, they meant every part. And that included the part of the body that distinguishes humans from animals, the part of the body that holds our knowledge, the part of the body that holds our memories, the part of the body that holds our truths. Knowledge, memories, and truths that can all be altered by a single spell.
Chapter 1. No Pride in Death. A young purple-haired woman and a green-haired man, both around 20, and whose faces looked very similar, sat across each other in a room.
Where am I?
What do you mean, Basil? We're in Abalone.
The walls surrounding them were a familiar brown willow color.
That's not possible. This place burned down.
And yet, here we are all the same. It's just like your memory remembers it.
No, this can't be right. This is a lie.
The man replied, touching the walls to feel its texture.
All memories, and by extension, all truths, are lies, Basil. They are imperfect and malleable, based on who is experiencing them and who is stating them. Does it matter either way? We're safe back home now.
I can't trust it. There's no way this is possible. I can't trust it. I can't trust it. I can't trust it.
He looked up at the woman.
You told me, Lavender. You told me not to trust anything or anyone fully, not even you. And now you're telling me to trust that we're magically in our old home again.
Lavender stared back at him with a somber expression.
I didn't say that, Basil. I asked if it matters.
What? Of course it does. How can I be sure of anything if everything is a lie?
What's so wrong in believing a lie for the greater good? What's so wrong in believing in me?
The woman's image suddenly dispersed into thin air as the familiar walls of the young man's old home began catching on fire.
No, not again. Please, no.
Suddenly Basil shot up from the ground of the tent he had been sleeping in.
It was just a dream?
Having nightmares again, Lieutenant?
Basil turned to his right to face a middle-aged man with long black hair and a sturdy build. Next to him lay his sword and metal armor with the crest of a sun implanted on it, indicating a high rank in the Farnan military.
General Yates, you're awake?
I don't sleep before battles, lad, even ones we can't lose.
Right, of course.
Basil lay back down onto the floor, still breathing heavily.
You have to let go, lad. She's dead. There's nothing you can do for her now.
Yeah, you're right.
Best you can do is fight on her behalf.
An expression of rage appeared on Basil's face.
I'll slaughter every one of those bastards for what they did.
Whoa, slow down there, Lieutenant. We're here for life or first, and the good of Farnan. The fewer lives lost, the better. It's what your sister would have wanted.
Yeah, she would've.
Now then.
Yates yawned, getting up from his spot.
The sun will be rising soon. Why don't we get up early and get preparations ready, yeah?
Basil nodded as he began to put on the armor that had been lying next to him.
Right away, sir.
Soldiers, what do we fight for?
For Farnan, the soldiers shouted.
Who do we die for?
For Farnan! The legions of the Farnan army stood on top of the Timon Mountains, around 100,000 men in total. Around 30,000 of them rode horses on the front line carrying various swords, maces, and spears. Behind them stood 50,000 ground infantrymen, and behind the infantrymen stood the back line of 20,000 archers. All of them were listening attentively to the booming voice of General Yates, who had gotten off his horse temporarily to deliver his speech.
To get here, we all had to make sacrifices. Lives have been lost, men have been injured, and we're all starving and cold being away from our homes. But just remember what you are fighting for today. Beyond this mountain is the city of Numen, the heart of the Wolan Kingdom. The same Wolan Kingdom that broke our alliance when they murdered the greatest healer that Farnan has ever known.
He looked over at Basil, who was riding on top of his own horse next to him.
Now, Lieutenant Basil here has not only been a great bodyguard during this campaign, but he has been a strong soldier as well. It's not easy to go into the front lines of battle after losing someone close to you like a sister. You all know her well. You've all had loved ones, or perhaps even yourselves that were healed by Lavender's magic.
The soldiers nodded in agreement.
What the Wolans have done is unforgivable. Today, men, you fight for more than just yourselves. No, pride has its own place, but today you fight for more. You fight for the betterment of your kingdom. We need that life ore to heal the diseased and the injured. For that is worth fighting for.
The shouts of the soldiers engulfed the entire atmosphere of the mountain. So much so that Basil couldn't help but join in on the shouting as well. The shouting only stopped when General Yates gave the signal, holding out his hand.
Now then.
The legion of men all turned to face the lieutenant.
Lieutenant Basil, do you have any words to the soldiers you have fought alongside before we storm down the mountain?
No, sir. It's simple. We're here for the life ore, and I will slaughter any Wolan monster that stands in my way. For Farnan!
For Farnan! The crowd of soldiers shouted back.
Very well. All business until the job is done. I like that. Well then, I believe now all the things that need to be said have been said. Only one thing left to do. Soldiers.
He got onto his horse and turned towards the view below the valleys where a town could be seen.
Let's march!
Father, I am not sure the 30,000 you sent are enough. Our scouts say the enemy has come with 100,000 strong.
A young woman with long light blue hair, the same color as the castle walls, said, running into the throne room of the imperial castle of Numen. She was wearing a fur coat and red shirt symbolic of the Empire of Wolan.
So, the day has come.
On top of the ivory throne of the castle sat King Skan. In reality, he had only been around 50 in age, but years of politics and military missions had aged his hair and beard gray. He too was wearing a fur coat, but with purple robes and a large gold crown indicating royalty. Besides him were 6 men in full iron armor, Skan's personal guards.
What do we do? The walls of Numen have already been fortified and the rest of the forces are getting slaughtered by the second in the mountains. Should we send the rest of our soldiers in the castle to guard the city walls?
We have no choice. We simply give them the mines.
You can't! That's the last leverage Wolan has. If we give those up, what's stopping our entire kingdom from falling?
Our kingdom has already fallen, Lapis. What good is losing more lives going to do?
No, it's not right. We can still fight. I can fight.
We've fought enough, Lapis. The Farnons already have troops occupying all of our major cities. The only thing left is to give up our mines.
Those are ours and ours alone. Every kingdom has sick and injured citizens. What gives any kingdom the right to take what's on our land?
It doesn't matter, Lapis. Life ore can heal many things, but it cannot heal death.
As he said those words, another man came running into the palace with a concerned look on his face.
Sir, most of our forces have been sent retreating back into the city. The enemy has suffered very few casualties. Around 90,000 of their army still remain.
I'm going.
You're not Lapis. Guard seize her.
As the king said those words, the royal guards that had been standing beside him immediately walked up to the princess, grabbing a hold of her arms.
Hey, let go! No! I trained with those soldiers. I deserve to die with them.
No one else is dying today, Lapis. Clive, march the diplomacy unit towards General Yates' army. Make sure to bring the white flag. Tell them I will surrender the city and our mines.
Father, no! Have you no pride?
There's no pride in death, Lapis. Guards, take Lapis and have her escape with Sir Cohen on horseback to Turok.
You're a coward, Father. King Trent would have fought until the end to protect the mines.
That may be so, but King Trent died 10 years younger than I have lived with such an attitude. Now go.
The three guards took the disgruntled princess out of the throne room. Sighing, King Skan got up from his throne and began walking out of the room himself.
Get ready the negotiation table and the best wine this kingdom has to offer.